に元気を分けてくれ。
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are talking about Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans. One of the most requested games that we talk about here on this channel. Why is that? Because we went through the entire trilogy for Legacy of Goku on the Game Boy Advance, and that was such a fun time. And every single time we talked about that series, the comments would load up with, "You gotta talk about DBZ Attack of the Saiyans on Nintendo DS." Why is that? Because Legacy of Goku was an action RPG series that we have a ton of nostalgia for, and now we're getting into Maddie's favorite, turn-based RPG, baby. And I'm very excited about this one because there's a little bit of a journey to me getting this complete box copy. I bought the cartridge during the pandemic back when I wasn't a complete box snob. Nowadays, much different. So I just had the cartridge lying around, and I want to make this video. Y'all know how I am with the complete box experience. I always want to have it for you all. I also want to have it for my collection. So I had to twist my buddy's arm for a while and be like, yo, just send me the case and manual. Like, I'll even give it back afterwards. Finally, we struck a deal. So if you like this complete box experience, just send some love to my boy Soul, who supports the hell out of this channel. Thank you, Soul. I appreciate you. And now, let's talk about DBZ Attack of the Saiyans, turn-based RPG. Is it really that amazing? I am super impressed in my first playthrough here, so I'd love to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are new here and you're into nostalgic, retrospective content, specifically Dragon Ball Z content, we talk about every Dragon Ball game as we're lining them up, knocking them down. We still have many more to go, and that's what's so great about this series as a gamer, I think, because like many things in my life, whether it be something as Indiana Jones or Transformers or, yes, even Dragon Ball Z, kind of my gate Dragon Ball games, and this is one of many of them. So let's get into the complete box experience. The back of the box says, "A new Saiyan saga. The first Dragon Ball Z role-playing adventure. Explore a huge map and grow stronger. Retelling of the original saga. Relive the Saiyans' invasion of Earth and discover a new storyline. And high-speed, powerful battles. Battle as a team and unleash super skills, ultimate skills, and sparking combos." And we see all of that alongside here. Great art on the front, too. I especially love this version of Vegeta in the Saiyan armor. Just, obviously, Vegeta's raw still to this day, but my man with the Saiyan armor, I still pull that out in, like, Dragon Ball FighterZ. I think it looks so cool. But here's what we got on the inside here. Not too much in the terms of extra slips and manuals. You just got this, the precautionary booklet. That's all there is. Cartridge looking nice and legit. But what we're going to talk about is the manual and start going through all of the various mechanics in the game and some of my thoughts on them. So yes, unfortunately, a black and white manual. This was a game that came out in around 2009, according to the trademark here. So let's keep going through here. Of course, as always, they tab through the controls, and then we get into some of the characters you're going to see in the game. So it starts off naturally with Goku and some of the main skills he's going to unlock in combat, but then it gets into Krillin, and this is what's really important about the game. Gohan, Piccolo, Tien, Yamcha. And you're thinking to yourself, of course, the main cast is up first. You know, you got your Goku, your Piccolo. You see, what's really cool about this game is your opening party to start the game, and most of your opening hours are Krillin, Tien, and Yamcha. The reason I love this, and it's definitely more of a retroactive opinion, is I think so much of Super got a ton of Goku Vegeta focus up until about the second half of that show, at least what episodes currently exist at the time of recording this, where they started to spread the wealth a bit with the Universe Tournament arc. And so you start to realize during that stretch of Super in the early parts, like, man, I want to know what everyone else is up to. Like, why is Gohan not that beast anymore? Of course, now with Superhero, we know what Gohan is capable of. But Piccolo being one of my personal favorite characters of the entire series, I'm like, why is my man so weak now? They fixed that in Superhero. But there are the OGs from Dragon Ball, like Krillin, like Tien, like Yamcha, or major characters that are now kind of like laughable, weak, side pieces because the series has grown so much. And this game is a strong reminder at how interesting these characters can be. For example, Krillin's story leads him to the temple he trained at, and he finds that the temple's been overrun, and he traces someone down who, the reason that they're actually destroying the temple is because they feel weak and they feel inferior, and Krillin gets into why he felt inferior too and how it motivated him to train. Surprisingly personal. Yamcha's naturally a little silly, but Monster Carrot is back here from the original Dragon Ball, which I was like, what? That's so crazy this dude's here, but he's one of the main bosses in the game. Is a story about him not understanding why he does martial arts. At first, it was to overpower his opponents, right? He's like one of the main bad dudes in Dragon Ball. But then he starts to find an inner peace, and he starts to learn why Goku is so strong. He has someone or something to protect, and Tien connects with that. And it's during a moment where there's a lust for power. So it's these opening moments that I just have to highlight that really shine a light on why this game is special. Beyond the mechanics, which we'll talk about, it's really about the focus of the story. Yes, we have seen the Saiyan arc 1,000,001 times, but not really quite like this, where they find these things on the in-between and have some beautiful moments with these characters. Does being a fan help? Absolutely. Because if you're not a Dragon Ball fan, it's not like you're going to look at this and say, oh, wow, this is some great writing here. It's enhanced by knowing the lack of appreciation these characters have and then realizing the focus they get in this game. I thought it was great. It does mean that there are certain parts in the story where they'll like split you off and you'll be just 1-on-3, which I don't like in RPGs. Like, I don't mind being a member short, but when you're just playing a turn-based RPG and you got one member in your party, a lot of the opening hours are like that. But we'll talk about that more and with the mechanics and everything. But yeah, thumbs up for the early goings of the story. I mean, I thought it was really cool, the focus that these characters get and how they start to bring in the main faces and how they scale them up and whatnot. Like, Gohan's kind of weak when he first gets into your party and you have to properly level him up. Again, we'll talk about that with mechanics and everything. So let's keep going through some of the manual here, where they talk about playing the game, the event scenes, map movement, buying items in the shops, because it's an RPG, so you're going to want to do that, whether it be healing items or equipment, exploring dungeons. Yes, really, in a Dragon Ball game, you love to see it. Enemy encounters, capsule corp points, treasure chests, dino caps. Again, a lot of stuff here to take in. Obstacles in dungeons. Let's stop there and talk about everything we just went over. So what's pretty much happening is as you're going through these dungeons, you'll find obstacles in the way. You'll see a little red bar on the top left corner of the screen that only recharges when you walk around. So of course you risk an encounter because it is random encounter based. And so you'll find like a big crystal blocking your path or a big bush blocking your path. And you'll see like tucked away is a little chest or something. And so you can knock that down and make your way to the chest and get an item, whether it be a healing item, a piece of equipment, all that fun stuff. But also, you saw the mentioning of capsules. This is a really cool feature in the game. Think of it like equipment that has a passive effect that activates when you start a battle. So in this case, when it comes to DBZ Attack of the Saiyans, you'll have like a darkness card. And if you have that activated, you can have two activated at once. One's effect will be halved if it's in the backup slot. So let's say I had the starting ones you get are darkness and then poison resistance. So if darkness is my primary one, that means that when I start battle, that's going to have the maximum effect and try to blind enemies, whereas I'll have 50% poison resistance. But if my gas mask, which is that poison resistance, is up front and my primary capsule, then that means that I'll have 100% poison resistance. So you can kind of flip and change things on the go without going into the pause menu, which is good. It creates a lot of strategy, and there are plenty more you get throughout the game, which I also thought was really nice. But there is your standard equipment. You'll open some of these chests and you'll find a defense ring, an energy ring, and you'll put it on one of your characters. It'll increase naturally their defense or the amount of ki they have. And this is all great stuff. Why is it? Because we don't really see many Dragon Ball games with this. It wasn't until like, you know, Legacy of Goku 2 or even Boo's Fury that we start to see more of the equipment management. And is it just like a numbers game? Yeah, but where it starts to play a bigger factor is all these characters are build focused, which I thought was surprising about the game. So every single character, it's not just like your main few, like, oh, Goku or Piccolo. Every character in this game, when they level up, you see the stats line up. One of my critiques is I had to look it up outside of the game to find out what exactly were these stats, and it's in the manual, which we'll go over too. But I personally was confused, like, well, what is SC? What is TC? What does all this stuff mean? I think that's speed. I think that's power, but what does that affect? You don't really get an answer on that. So I thought that was a little but otherwise, anytime they level up, you actually get to augment their stats, which is great because like I made Krillin very much a Ki Blast focused character. So he was shooting out Kamehamehas and Destructo Discs like his whole life depended on it. Same thing with Tien, but I focused a bit more on recovery. So every turn, once you complete an action, you can actually recover your health. This is also a great mechanic because this game has like an active guard system. So let's say an enemy goes to attack you. You'll see like a red flash above your head. If you press the proper button that's coordinated with your order in the amount of party members on screen, so X or Y or B, when you press that at the right time, what'll happen is you'll activate a guard and you'll take less damage. And that's very important because with your recovery, you can get into a loop where enemies can't damage you because they'll hit you for 28 damage, but then you'll recover 30. So as long as your guard is on point, you're in a perfect spot. So it's that combination of build and mechanics where like Tien is really tough to kill because he's constantly doing perfect guards because I'm good at it and recovering endlessly. And then I focused his damage more on, again, Ki Blast. But Yamcha, who's got like the Wolf Fang Fist, it's like, okay, my man's got a lot of, we'll say, strength, physical-based attacks. So I upped his power a ton, and this man is destroying people in a very not like Yamcha sort of way. So the build capability here is great. It's way better than I ever expected it to be. It is a true RPG in that sense, which again, my expectations aren't high with these things. I don't need a ton for a turn-based RPG to work, but I think with the capsule mechanic and the active guard mechanic, it works really well to create its own unique identity. But there's more to go through here. So let's continue on, shall we? So they talk about viewing the menu screen, skills, equipment, status, options, switching out party members, capsules, a crystal ball. Think of your crystal ball as your journal. I like that this game has it because sometimes it's easy in these older games, even with the later, 2000 games, 2009 is when this game came out, that you can get lost easily. So to be able to check your crystal ball and say like, okay, this is my quest objective, this is where I need to go, it lets you reorient much quicker, especially if one thing that a lot of us have problems with RPGs is we get into that flow. Maybe you put like 20 hours in or something like that, and you get away from the game. You come back like 2 weeks later, what was I doing? And then a lot of people drop games at that point, which is unfortunate. So a great journal is much appreciated in the flavor text of Crystal Ball. Continuing on, it's going through battles now. They talk about battle commands. You can attack, you can do a super attack, ultimate attack, which we'll get into. And then they also talk about switching, running, defending. You can use your scouter, which is really nice. There's a displaying status. There's a rage gauge here, which I will read how they define it. They say here, a character's rage gauge will increase when attacking an enemy or taking damage. Once the character's rage gauge is maxed out, he or she will go into sparking mode, enabling that character to unleash ultimate skills or sparking combos. Each character's rage gauge is shown at the status menu on the touchscreen. When maxed out, sparking will be displayed on the gauge, and the character will be covered in flames. Once an ultimate skill or sparking combo is unleashed, the rage gauge will drop to 0. And these are really cool because like the opening sparking combo, you'll actually kick the enemy out of the screen and into another arena for a moment, and it gives tremendous impact to your attacks. Because we already know Dragon Ball is about sending people through giant rocks and making it look like it was extremely easy, like just ice melting on a hot summer day. Like that's how it looks. And this game kind of captures it by changing maps when you hit an enemy hard enough, which I thought was a really imaginative idea to display the power and the kind of kinetic nature of a Dragon Ball fight in a turn-based setting, where I know some people would say that's not what kind of game Dragon Ball should be, and I respect that certainly. They also talk about different mechanics when it comes to battle starting, like the first attack, sneak attack, sometimes with random encounters. I don't like this in any game. It's not just a DBZ Attack of the Saiyans issue. Like you'll have a time where an encounter will start, right? Which you have no control over. It just will start. Okay, no problem. And then it'll be like the enemy snuck up on you because you'll see the battle starts and your back is to the enemy sprites, and it means they get the first turn. So you got to be on the defense right away. It doesn't make the game more difficult. It's just like I had no say in that. Why did you do that to me? Why did you do that to me? So I don't appreciate that, but not the end of the world. And then they talk a little bit about sparking combos. If there's one or more character that's maxed out their rage gauge and they use certain super skills or ultimate skills, a powerful sparking combo or S combo will be unleashed. Various skills can be combined for this, and one type of skill may be different than usual when used by a character this way. However, a sparking combo must be used on the same enemy in order to work. So just a lot of things going on here with the active guard, with the sparking combo, the ultimate skills. all that stuff. And it's very much an RPG, right? So they talk about ailments. For example, you can have sleep, paralyze, poison, dark, stun, confuse, freeze, carrot. Yes, really. Shout out to Carrot Monster. This is one of the capsules I told you can unlock. You can kill enemies and they turn to carrots. You don't get money out of it, but they turn to carrots. It's great stuff. Love carrots. Shout out to carrots. They go through what happens afterwards when you are victorious. Battle results screen, item acquisition screen, character development. Here's, like I said, where they break down all the stats. So power affects attack power, increases damage inflicted on enemy. Defense, naturally, defensive power. Recovery affects recovery and increases the amount of HP recovery per turn. And speed recovery from ailments, which is great. Skills, it says that this affects skills, raises the accuracy of attacks, and power of skills / ultimate skills. There's also speed, which, you know, increases the speed during battle and raises the ability to evade enemy attacks, and then luck, providing advantageous effects during battles. And as you complete these battles, you'll see here that you get ability points and skills. And so you can level up all of these things: skills, ultimate skills, abilities, skill upgrades. Think of it like, you know, you could upgrade your HP, your accuracy, your ki. You could upgrade the impact of a specific attack. So like I said, shockingly build focused, very much an RPG. It's not just, you know, a little light RPG with the Dragon Ball name stamped. It's not a light RPG with the Dragon Ball name stamped on it. No, friend. Much more than that. And we're at the end here. You have the notes section, and then we flip onto the back, and it's a promotion for Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo, which is coming out on the Wii. We also have that complete in box, and it's a game we will talk about here on the channel at some point in time. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is a complete in box copy of Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans. While playing it, I saw a lot of tendency to lean into kind of Final Fantasy, but it created its own identity. It reminded me how I felt of Mega Man X Command Mission. That's a game that I never beat, but I absolutely love, because to me, that's like my Final Fantasy X, which I know sounds like hearsay. You didn't beat it. It's your Final Fantasy X, which for many people is like a god tier RPG. Just try to hear me out and put yourself in my shoes for a moment here. Like, Final Fantasy X did so many transformative things to the industry that many copycats would come in, look at that and say, oh, I want to do that. We'll put a couple of ideas on top of it. That's what Mega Man X Command Mission did. So when I think of Final Fantasy and what it was doing around this time, I think about Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans, going back more old school, taking some stuff, evolving it with sparking, evolving it with more of a build focus per character. Not necessarily all of them are fit into a specific slot. Like I think of characters in like Final Fantasy VI, which need, you know, tools, for example, and you got to build around that a little bit more. There's no specific archetype. It really lets you be who you want to be. And then when you combine that with the capsules, it has a very unique flavor of its own. It's a great RPG. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's just a ton of fun. And as a Dragon Ball fan, I mean, what a treat. A little crude, for sure, but that's the old school Dragon Ball nature, right? Like, we all know, like, Goku kind of peeing in the river and stuff and seeing his, you know what, like, it's like, whoa. Oh, as for me, I got into Dragon Ball really late. Like, I saw Z, I saw Super, and I mean, I got into the original DB way later. I was like, wow, this is funny. Like, this is way more different than I expected, and this game tries to capture a lot of that in its writing. You'll see what I mean when you play the game. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, those are my thoughts on Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans. It really is a great RPG, and I recommend you pick it up if you can. Unfortunately, it's gone up in price. Like many games we talked about this month, it's just like these games that were cheap even a couple of years ago are going up in value. I just hope like this and Legacy of Goku are games that, you know, Bandai takes a look at and says, like, yeah, let's bring these back. Like, they're at least in like a remastered trilogy or collection. It's so great. Like a Legacy of Goku collection just makes so much sense, but we'll see if Bandai's ever willing to play ball on that. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Let me know your thoughts down below on DBZ Attack of the Saiyans. And with that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.